All right, let's dive in. Today, we're exploring a really interesting idea from a source that offers up a simple practice, a practice for both protection and prosperity. Kind of sounds like the best of both worlds, right? Let's see how it all connects.
It's a question I think we've all asked ourselves at some point, right? Is there a way to find some real relief from all our worries? Life can get so overwhelming with all the pressure and anxiety. And what's interesting is the source we're digging into today. It starts right there. It gets it.
So yeah, the source really leans into this idea, the worries of our modern era. It kind of sets the stage by saying, hey, we know things are tough out there, which, makes what comes next feel even more relevant. And this is where it gets really practical. Instead of some complicated, abstract theory, the source just offers a simple, totally doable spiritual practice. It's presented as a straightforward method for finding some protection and, some real peace of mind.
So, okay, what is this simple practice? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. The great thing is it's super accessible. You don't need any special prep or anything like that.
All right, it's actually just 3 simple steps. First step, you just identify the 4 corners of your home. Easy enough. Step 2, you go to each corner and recite Ayat al-Kursi once. Now, for those who might not be familiar, Ayat al-Kursi is a really powerful and revered verse from the Quran, often used specifically for protection. And the final step, step 3, is to make it a routine. You do this twice every 24 hours, once during the day and once at night. The idea is to keep that spiritual shield up. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. My house is huge, that would take forever. Well, the source actually thought of that. It gives a really practical tip. If you've got a really big place, just doing the practice in one room is enough. The effect is said to cover the whole house. So yeah, that makes it way more accessible for everyone.
So, this all begs the question, right? Where did this practice actually come from? Well, the source traces it all back to a really fascinating personal story.
This brings us to a companion's experience. The whole thing is tied to the personal story of Abdur Rahman ibn Awf. Now, he was a very well-known and very wealthy companion of the Prophet Muhammad, and the story we're about to get into is presented as his personal journey with this practice. And this is probably the most important detail of the whole story. The source is crystal clear about this. The Prophet did not tell him this. That is a really, really critical distinction to make.
So what does that mean? It means this was his own personal Amal, his own practice, his own spiritual act. It's something he came to on his own, through his own journey and experience, and he found that it worked for him. This is huge because it frames it not as some universal command, but as a powerful personal discovery.
Okay, so now we get to the big question. What was the result? We've talked about the practice, now let's talk about the outcome. And according to the story in the source, the results were, well, almost unbelievable, and the full extent of it only really came to light after he passed away.
The story really reaches its peak after his passing, when his inheritance was being distributed. It's at this moment, as his family is going through his estate, that the true scale of his wealth, which the source ties directly back to his practice, is finally revealed.
I mean, just try to picture this. The source paints this incredible scene where the amount of gold was so immense, so vast, that the tools they were using to break it up for distribution, we're talking shovels and hammers, they were literally breaking from the effort. It's just this powerful image of unbelievable, overwhelming abundance. And get this, even after the tools broke, the source hits us with this final mind-blowing detail. But the gold did not run out. The gold still wasn't finished. It paints a picture of an almost endless supply of wealth. Just an absolutely incredible blessing. So, to tie it all together, the source makes a direct connection. It draws a straight line from that simple, consistent daily practice we talked about to this absolutely extraordinary level of prosperity. The takeaway here is that a personal, consistent act of faith can lead to some truly profound results.
And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? This story, when you boil it down, isn't just about a specific ritual. It's really about the incredible connection between our own personal conviction and the outcomes in our lives. It makes you wonder, right? What is the real power that lies in our own experiences and in our own unwavering belief?